Hello everyone, welcome to 30 Minutes Learning. This is our fourth video. In this video, we are going to discuss about XML View. Before jumping to Web IDE to create a new view, we are going to know about that SAPUI5 documentations because it's very important for creating a view with SAPUI5 components. So, first you need to understand the documentation, how to use and what are the components present for the library, and how to use this each component in the UI5 applications. Then only you become a good developer. So first I will simply explain with input controller. So here you can see that lot of tabs: overview, constructor, properties, aggregation, association, events, and methods. Let's see one by one. It's a overview. They given what is this input and how to use and what are the things you need to consider. Like they give that guidelines. Okay, what you need to do and what you don't need to do. Like okay, and when you need to use this input and where you're going to use these inputs. So this type of informations it's covered in the overview tab. So next, constructor. You can see this constructor, it's JavaScript code. Like initially while we starting this session, that time I created one button with some um, CDN library binding. After that, that button color it will change automatically, right? You remember that one? So that time we using this SID. It's automatically generated this SID. And M settings, it's nothing but we give the text, right? So that is called that M settings. We can give that properties and aggregation and events. So these things are we can build in the M settings. Okay, so next one, properties. It's this input having lot of properties. This property, what you need to know how to use these properties for this input. For example, inputs means you need to get some value from the user, right? So that value where it will store. You see this value it's not showing. If you want to know lot of properties like a parent properties, then click that show borrowed properties. Then it will give that parent property also. Okay, then you can see that value, this value only storing the user inputs. So this value it will return to our corresponding parameter, whatever parameter you written in the JavaScript controller, it will return the value. Then aggregation. So aggregation you can use, or without aggregation you can use this input controller or any controllers. If it is a default aggregation, means you don't need to specify in the XML view. You can directly bind the core item in between the input tag, starting tag and closing tag. Okay, So similarly you can use that parent parent controller aggregations also. Like if you select this show borrowed aggregation, then it will give that lot of options. Like if you see the tooltip is a parent one, so whenever your mouse it's nearby the input, that time it will tooltip it will show on. Then association it's similar with aggregation, but we can it's an optional one. Like without association we can do our controller with some other option, some other functions. Then events, if you see that live change, submit and suggest, these events are it belongs to input. Like user type, that time this event trigger. For example, user type each word, each letter, that time that live change it will update, it will trigger. So similarly suggest, it will giving us some suggestion. For example, if you try to search something, that time it will give some suggestion. You need to bind the suggestion related functionalities. So if you want to achieve this subject, then you need to use this aggregation, suggestion item aggregation. Then only this event it will trigger. And this method while we discuss about that JavaScript controller, that time I will explain you how to use these methods. Okay, now you know that some basic knowledge how to use this documentation. And similarly like SAPM, you can see that text and the button, all controllers having that similar properties and aggregation, association, event methods. So you need to know how to use and where to use based on your project requirement. You need to customize yourself. Okay, so last video we created like these applications, like simply just two label and two input, one button, right? So in this video output, in this video end, you will get this type of screen. So I help you to understand how to use this SDK, right? So based on this SDK, you can simply create this view. Okay, let's start to create this view. Okay, so first you look at this label and input. It's vertical, one by one it will show, right? Here it's left side and right side it's showing. That means we need to use that form, simple form we need to use. So such that API reference simple form. Okay, this controller we need to use for left and right, and Lot of options they are in the simple form. You will understand while using this simple form controller. Okay, let's go to web ID. I will explain you the XML view. So first you just look at this view, MVC view and controller name. You remember this is our namespace and add function is our project. This is our project and this is our namespace, then controller, then this is our view name. If you create a new view, then that view name it will come. Never change this namespace and project and controller. Only the controller name only it will change. Okay. So next, if you see that XMLNS, that means it's XML namespace and MVC. So we going to use this MVC library in the view, in the XML view. So whenever you write XML and colon and some word equal after, you need to give that library name. So if you not give that any colon after any word, that means it's a default library. That means you don't need to specify anything like a SAPUI5 library, like anything. Here we just denoting that MVC, right? So it's a SAPUI5 core library, have that MVC is a controller. I will show you here. If you click that MVC, then you can see it's a SAPUI5 core and MVC. SAPUI5 core MVC, this pattern. So this library, if you want to use, then you need to denote like this. Only one default library only we can specify here. We can to specify more than one default library. If you want to use multiple libraries, then you need to add XML ns dot and that library shortcut. Like now we going to use that simple form, right? So simple form, it belongs to SAPUI layout library and SAPUI layout form library. It's a namespace. Just copy this one, SAPUI layout form, then go here, give that shorthand version name form and give the library name. Then inside the content you need to write a form. Whenever you type F, it will give the suggestion. Then if you use that tab or enter button, it automatically fill here. Then type that simple form, it will giving some suggestion, right? Then select that tab and close this arrow, this greater than simple. If we give, then it automatically finish this tag. Inside the simple form, just put that labels and input. Just cut and put here and save and just refresh this application. Okay, now you see our vertical layout, it will little bit change, like it's a label and input like this, but we're missing that add function as a header. Okay, how to achieve this add header? Do you remember we discussed about that aggregation, right? Just check that aggregation. It have that control called title. So this title aggregation we're going to use inside the simple form. So just give the form and then title. Okay, so if you want to use that aggregation title, then you should specify the parent library form. This form under only the title is there, right? So you should use that form. Then you look at this type, SAPUI5 title. Just click here, then it will navigate to this class. So here this SAPUI5 is a namespace. So if you want to use this title, then you should specify the library in the XML view. Do you know how to assign this library in the view? I already tell how to use the form. Similarly, you need to use this library XML NS and give that colon and library shortened version. It's a core and equal and give that library name. Then you can use this library inside the title, and if you see the title is a caps, then close tag. Then if you see the properties, it has that icon and text. So I'm using text property for giving a title. So select the text and give the property. The first tag before closing tag, you need to give the property name and the equal, and the double quotes inside you need to give any text. So this is add function. Give the text add function and save. Just refresh. Now we get our title inside the simple form. So next what we need to do, you see whenever mouse it's over to the button, it's changing the green, right? Button, it's a default layout also, it's a little bit green. So how do you achieve this one? Just go to the API reference, check the button, SAPM button, then check the properties, and here you can see the type. So this type only, it changed the color, green, orange, and the multiple, it's a blue, and red color, it's a divided like. So actually this button type we can use to change the color. So give the type and select the value SAPM button type, click here, then give the name SAPM button type, accept. The last accept, attention, back, critical, this value is enough to given here. Don't need to write full things. It's simply give the accept or attention, critical, default, emphasized, negative, neutral, like. Okay, so just copy this accept and you just paste here and save, refresh. Okay, great. Now we get that green color layout, and whenever we move our mouse into the button, it's glowing some green. So next, if you see the icon is added, just look at again our documentation. So just one step go back, check the properties. Here you see that icon. So icon is next property. So after the type, give the icon, and inside the icon we need to give the plus symbol. So SAP given a lot of icons in the icon library. So how to see the full whole icons information? Just go to tools and you see the icon explorer. Just click here. So it's loaded icon explorer. Here just click that SAP icons. It navigate to all icons. So here lot of icons there. So if you want to use the icon, click the any one of them. For example, like badge, I just click, then the right hand side you can see that some options like copy to three different copy buttons. So first one you just copy to clipboard, then go to our web IDE and paste here. Just to save and refresh. Now you see our batch, it will loaded in the icon in the buttons. So similarly you need to add this plus. Just look at the plus, okay, add. So click here, just copy this add value, then put here. Okay, then if you refresh, add icon, it will shown in the button. Similarly, if you change the button type and title text, it will, you can easily create this screen. So now your task, you should create this screen yourself. So next video we're going to use this screen to write some functions, controller. So next video we're going to discuss about controller. That time whenever you click this button, it trigger function in the controller and it giving some pop-up message to your addition value or subtraction value, like something we need to do some functionality. Okay, so just complete this work. Thank you. Bye.